the acute medical unit at Royal Perth Hospital and also a dementia champion since 2016. So I'm here today to talk about detecting delirium, prevention and early active care for delirium in the elderly. Anyone who has worked on an acute medical unit knows how fast-paced and often chaotic it can be. There are many challenges to overcome, but also opportunities to improve the running of the ward. The acute medical unit is no exception. A large proportion of our patients present with cognitive impairment from Parkinson's dementia to delirium. It became evident that there was room to improve and manage these patients on the ward. I'll go into further details of the project shortly, but firstly I'll just touch on delirium, which surrounds the project I completed. We'll also acknowledge Osborne Park Hospital as they completed a similar project with a similar title. So what is delirium? As touched on previously by a couple of our speakers, delirium is classified as a syndrome of disturbed attention and awareness that has an acute onset, fluctuating course, and is associated with an additional disturbance in cognition. Despite being a serious condition that is associated with increased mortality, delirium is often poorly recognised in Australian hospitals and internationally. Delirium can, as we know, can increase length of stay, mortality and admission to long care term facility, and it can have lasting effects on cognition. Its consequences are not only a cause of distress to the patient, but also a cause of distress to their families and their carers. So that's, sorry, I haven't been. As you can see from this slide, there are many reasons why we as health professionals must prevent delirium and the risks associated. Firstly, I want to emphasise the fact that 30 to 40% of cases with delirium are preventable. This has significant consequences on not only the healthcare system in reducing length of stay and mortality, but obviously also to the patients and the significant outcomes that can occur. Other facts to note from this slide are that 50% of the time delirium is misdiagnosed, not detected, or not identified in hospital. Patients with delirium have more risks of falls, pressure injuries, functional decline, and ongoing cognitive difficulties. Patients with delirium are therefore more likely to pass away in hospital or at home, often due to their secondary effects. Patients are also twice as likely to be discharged prematurely to long care age residential care facility, hence the reasons we want to prevent delirium. So as I previously stated, despite guidelines on managing delirium, early detection is poor and many cases are missed. Throughout 2016, one part of the study showed that at Royal Perth, 60% of patients that were coded for delirium came through our acute medical unit. However, this is likely to be an underrepresentation, as I previously stated, that delirium is often poorly detected. It is well recognised that prompt diagnosis and timely treatment of underlying causes are important for reducing the severity and duration of delirium and the risk of complications from it. Randomised controlled trials show that the interventions addressing multiple risk factors, including cognition, vision, hearing, and mobility, can prevent delirium. Therefore, it was pertinent to investigate what could be done on the acute medical unit to identify and thus reduce the risk of delirium on the ward. So getting to the project. Detecting delirium, what was the project aim? So our main aim was to enhance the detection of patients at risk of delirium on the acute medical unit through the adoption of local screening and assessment guidelines. Secondary outcomes were to reduce the risk of complications known to be associated with delirium. So this can be falls, pressure area, pneumonia, things like that. To reduce the number of cases of hospital-acquired delirium, to identify how confident staff in the acute medical unit felt in identifying someone at risk of delirium, to identify the educational needs of staff on the acute medical unit in detecting a patient at risk of delirium, the different types of delirium and non-pharmacological interventions that are available, and to also educate the families and the patients about delirium, risk factors and management. So we collected data in 3 ways. It was quite an extensive process. First, we contacted the Service 1 business support team, and they obtained quite a large amount of data on us for the episodes of delirium at Royal Perth Hospital throughout 2016. We did a medical record audit via SurveyMonkey to assess if and when patients had been assessed for delirium, and if the patient was highlighted at risk of developing delirium. And we also did a staff survey on the acute medical unit to understand the patient's knowledge of delirium, the risk factors and cognitive identifiers, and how to deliver further education. So what did the findings show? So with the Service 1 business support team, during 2016, there were approximately 1,000 patients that came through the hospital who reported with delirium, and 600 of those were travelled through the acute medical unit. The data they provided for us also found that patients with delirium had an average of 4.5 longer bed days throughout their hospital stay than those diagnosed without delirium. In terms of staff knowledge of delirium and the risk factors, cognitive identifiers, and non-pharmacological interactions with delirious patients, approximately 75% knew that being over 65 was a risk factor for delirium. 28% recognised that cognitive impairment was a risk factor for delirium, but all other risk factors fell below that 28%. The risk factors included being unwell or at risk of dying, neck of femur fractures, which we don't often get on the acute medical unit, a previous delirium and sensory impairment. All non-pharmacological interventions fell below 26%. So this included anything from identifying and treating reversible causes, reviewing of medications, considering pain relief, normalising sleep patterns and optimising senses, providing activities to stimulate cognition, encouraging hydration and appropriate nutrition, encouraging mobilisation, and including family members to be present with their patients, with their family members on the ward. SurveyMonkey, the results identified in SurveyMonkey also, going back to the previous point, only 6.5% knew that the confusion assessment method, the CAM, was Royal Perth Bentley tool screening tool for delirium. We also found, with the SurveyMonkey results, that no patients were screened for delirium, despite 93% of patients being identified as having a cognitive impairment. Going back to and also 21% of patients had carers asked if they had concerns about the patient. And as we just heard from Robin, this is a very significant factor in identifying whether the patient has a cognitive impairment or delirium. As the carers and the family members often know more about the patient and what their behaviour has been like in the preceding days than we would. They were the main findings. So what did we do on the acute medical unit? So in terms of screening and assessment, we formally implemented the diagnostic tool for delirium, the confusion assessment method. So this was done through education centres to all allied health staff, medical teams and nursing staff, AIN on board. Through education, we also provided education or support through posters around the ward. And as a CAM screening sticker was also developed. Prevention and management of delirium, there was lots of educational components. Going to the point below, so we did a lot of Take 5 presentations which involve case studies, formal education. We also provide some short periods of education in the ward safety huddles, which are on at least twice a day. Activity boxes were implemented on the ward. We had an environmental redesign for some of the wards, for a couple of the rooms on the ward, which I won't go into more detail. We've talked about a lot of environmental redesign, and we also were lucky enough to get the introduction of the Forget Me Not volunteers on the ward, which have all been a great success. In terms of awareness, we had increased signage of delirium risks and strategies for the management of acute medical unit. We have a large whiteboard which displays our dementia champions and also other information relating to dementia and delirium. Delirium posters which have been displayed throughout the ward, and we've also got a resource file on the ward for delirium. So moving forward, I'm in the process of re-evaluating and getting the data from last year to see what changes we have made. So and what are the key messages from this? So despite the prevalence of delirium on acute medical unit, the project highlighted that risk screening and assessment was poor, and that staff do not understand the condition with key features in how to assess or using a validated tool. The project also identified the lack of resources available to support patients with delirium or those at risk of it in order to prevent hospital-acquired delirium. The interventions were put into place to bridge these gaps and have identified more work moving forward, such as how to enhance our carer involvement and recognising their concerns. And one point I want to emphasise is that this has been a multidisciplinary approach. There's been a huge amount of support and involvement from everyone on the ward, which has been great to see. And I'm looking forward to getting there now and to analysing the data and hopefully seeing a significant improvement in the acute medical unit's management